Well, there's a new CBS News poll out today showing nearly 6 in 10 people disapprove of the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, and that includes 2/3 of women surveyed. Joining me now is Republican Congressman Warren Davidson of Ohio. Good evening to you, Congressman.
Good evening, Pamela.
So let's talk about Ohio. Your state's heartbeat bill that is now in effect bans abortions once a fetal heartbeat is detected roughly 6 weeks into a pregnancy. That is a time when some women don't even know they're pregnant. There is no exception for rape or incest. So my question to you is, what happens when a 12-year-old girl falls pregnant after being raped? Are you okay with her being forced to carry that fetus to term?
Well, under Ohio's law, it doesn't ban things like abortificants. So let's say someone who was raped, you don't know you were raped for 2 months. I mean, I think that it's incorporated in to deal with that. Now, that is a compromise. People believe that life begins at conception. That's what the science says. So I think that as a public policy
the science is not conclusive on that, right? And there is no consensus on that life begins at conception. But I know that that is certainly something that you believe and other conservatives believe. But I just want to ask you again, because this obviously raises some tough questions, of course, right? What happens if a 12-year-old gets raped? Are you comfortable with her having to now carry that baby to term because there is no exception for her case now under Ohio law?
I fully support Ohio's law, and I commend frankly, our governor and our legislature for passing it where previous administrations had failed. They passed it. It was held up by the courts, and a relief from the injunction was filed immediately on Friday, and it is now the law in Ohio. I think it's a great law, and it is a compromise. And like I say, rape is raised as an objection, but the heartbeat bill already deals with that. I mean, it's hard to conceive of somebody who doesn't know they were raped for 2 months.
Right. Well, look, I'm not going to put myself in the shoes of someone who was raped, but I am sure if they were here to speak with you, they would be pushing back on that notion. There's all kinds of traumatic experiences that would happen after such a thing, and processing it, and then finding out if you were pregnant and so forth. There's a lot of complexities. I do want to ask you about Ohio in terms of its rankings when it comes to infant mortality, and it's near the middle for maternal mortality. It's ranked 41st in infant mortality. African Americans are disproportionately impacted, and with this ban in place, that rate of infant mortality will likely go up. So what are you going to do to combat that and protect these disadvantaged women and children who are directly impacted by this abortion ban?
Well, look, Ohio, unfortunately, we have over half of the live births in Ohio are on Medicaid. So we have a really a disproportionate amount of our families that are growing are low-income families, and I think that overwhelmingly accounts for the loss of life in labor and delivery. And so I think we have to look at how do we strengthen that. Early treatment of anything that goes wrong in the pregnancy is always important, and I think it's just consistent prenatal care through that process. My wife and I had our kids while we were in the Army. And that was government-operated healthcare. I would hope that the federally qualified healthcare centers that dot Ohio's counties would at least meet that standard. And where they fall short, our office is open for casework to try to support it. We haven't had any.
I know that this is an issue that gets a lot of people worked up, but I think there is a lot of concern right now that so many states, including Ohio, have these abortion bans, and there's been this fight for a baby in the womb. But what about the fight for the child after it leaves the womb and the disadvantaged mother? Are you going to commit to fighting for them?
I already do fight for them, and frankly, look, as somebody who believes that life begins at conception, we want every baby to be a healthy baby, and we know that some babies are challenged from birth. I just was at church this morning with someone who is providing foster care for a prenatal from the NICU. This baby's just now at full term, so spent the first nearly 2 months in NICU to try to get stable.
And there's all kinds of stories out there, but the bottom line is you say you're fighting, but there are 16,000 kids in Ohio who have been taken away. They're with caregivers other than their parents. I think it's 9,000 in foster care. There is concern that that system is just going to be overloaded and what's going to be done to help them with resources. I do want to ask you about former Vice President Mike Pence. He is calling for a national abortion ban. House leaders are calling for a national ban after 15 weeks. Do you support a nationwide ban?
Look, I believe life begins at conception, and I understand that that we have people who passionately disagree. If you look at where Democrats were on this issue, why was this case before the Supreme Court? They were unwilling for Mississippi to limit abortion to 15 weeks. Not only were that, House Democrats put on a floor that opposed, every single member of the House Democratic Conference opposed the Born Alive Survivors Protection Act. This is babies that have already been delivered. They still wouldn't want to protect that life. They supported basic Governor Northam's position that, well, the baby will be kept comfortable while the mother and doctor have a conversation.
Just to be clear, though,
that's not abortion. That's infanticide. So
just to be
it's a very
clear,
radical position on the other.
Do you support a nationwide ban on abortion?
I support Life at Conception Act in the House. I'm a co-sponsor.
So,
but when you look in Ohio, I think Ohio's heartbeat bill is a very reasonable position of compromise. And I would love to see states across the country get there, not by force, just by moral consensus that this is a life and it is precious. It should be protected. And if a mother says, you know, I just don't think I can raise this baby, there are millions of Americans who would love to adopt that baby. And hopefully we can make adoption and foster care a more viable option for everyone. And I think we should treat every life as precious. Unfortunately, the foster care system is so incredibly broken, though. We've done story after story on that. But what it sounds like you're saying is you would like other states to adopt the bill like Ohio has, but you are not for a federal law mandating every state have abortion. Correct me if I'm wrong before we move on, because we do have other topics we need to get to. Well, look, I'm a co-sponsor of the Life at Conception app in Congress, and I think it's important that Congress says, look, if you want to push, you know, abortion from conception till delivery on the Democratic side, we're going to push back with what we truly believe is life at conception. And I think the courts delivered a position that says, you know, it's okay if states are different. I mean, they could have gone to the full extreme position under the 14th Amendment that people would view as radical, but no one can be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. How do you provide due process?
And I know that's something that you have said you supported.